All right, Mike, bring on the goddamn questions.
We need to, for the Oppression Summit, set up a meeting with Chad's auditor and do it right there on the stage in front of everybody.
That would
Fine
be
with me.
opening up the books. As long as it's not recorded, you could say everyone there is a representative of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Great. I'll call him now.
Okay.
You're getting to be a name on a name basis with these auditor people. So
I can't remember the guy's name actually.
He hasn't come over trying to ask for blood, has he?
No, not this guy. He wants something worse. He wants all my money.
All right. Potted Luck PA asks. So this one was asking for questions or topics. So some of these aren't phrased as questions. Sometimes just topics to talk about. Why you should consider a massive job box for your construction business. And I think I've seen a few people doing this where they've got just a giant box that they fork around from their trailer to the job site, and it's just got everything that they need so they don't have to go back and forth. You guys seen this?
Yeah.
I have. Yeah. Yep. I don't have one, so I can't speak to the topic.
No. Do you want one?
No. If I wanted one, I'd have it. It doesn't seem expensive. I have things that cost $240,000. I feel like if I wanted this fucking box, I would buy it. Like, I'm just saying. I don't think that it. I don't know. I think there's some validity to not having to walk back to the trailer. For sure. I think there's some validity to that. I think what makes in our application, what makes me nervous about it is I don't want to cart that thing back and forth from the job site every night. And I'm not comfortable leaving that on the job site. Whereas with the tool trailer, we either bring it back to the yard every night on the truck, or we lock it up, block it in. Inside of the doors have like wood that comes down inside, so you can't physically open that door in them, even if you cut the lock off. And then we block the doors with one of the machines. We block the hitch with one of the machines, and then we leave them for the night. And normally only if they're in the driveway. I would never leave it on the road. So I guess just when I see those big things, I'm like, but a lot of these people are working in large scale backyards where they have lots of room to get all that stuff in the job box. We very rarely work in a place that has an opening wider than 42 inches. That's true. It's just really is true that we very rarely work on a backyard or on a residential project where and if we do, then we're only working in the front yard. And I'm not comfortable leaving that box contraption in a front yard. I think they're useful. If we were doing the people who have them, if we were doing those same big backyard projects in 3-acre lots that they were, I probably would consider it. But at the current time, no.
So I think there's something real therapeutic about a walk back to the trailer to get something that you forgot. Like, it's rare that I'm thinking about nothing on that walk back to the trailer, right? Like, I'm going over grades in my head or something, or a laying pattern, or what we're going to do about raising the step so that we can get the pavers underneath it or something like that. Like, it's not lost time going back to the trailer. If you send one of your guys back to the trailer, that's a 30-second break for the guy, they're busting their ass for the other 9.5 hours a day or something like that, right? Like, everybody spends all this time trying to save minutes, and I can understand how that works if you're sitting there with a fucking stopwatch all day, timing your guys to see how long it takes them to lay 100 square feet or sand in a mowing strip or something like that. But I think it's all way more thought than what you need in hardscaping. Like, just fucking, there's nothing wrong with just having a tool trailer. Just bring the tool trailer. We have a bucket for our tools, like a tree pot bucket that we keep all our hammers and our squares in, and our nail with a rope on it and stuff like that. Like someone just bring out the brick bucket and that's it. And you drag it across the lawn and you put it close to where you're working. And at the end of the day, you drag it back to the trailer. Like I don't need a fancy job box all the time, but I never claim to be revolutionary. So
I know that like Ricky has a pail. It's got like a string line and
Yeah.
couple tape measures and a 2-foot level and whatever.
dead
He's
blow
got
hammer,
dead
whatever.
blow. Exactly. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Dead blow hammer. All the stuff that anything that he deems valuable to a interlock install, he has in that pail.
Yeah.
And I think he has one of those things you buy from Home Depot that rings the pail, and it creates all the little
Okay.
pockets on the outside.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
a cloth
yeah.
thing.
One of my
So
guys has those. Yeah.
he can tuck that. Yeah, I know he has. I don't know. I think those things are great, but for us, it just I don't know, it just wouldn't work. I guess that's what the comes down to. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, we're ready for our worst hour
What are you
question.
doing? What's you doing with the job box, Mike? Like, why is it always me and Chad bearing ourselves? The world wants to know what you do about your job box on the site.
I don't have a job box.
Why not?
Why
Like
not?
you.
Why not?
Like you, I don't have the access for a big job box, but I've got a organized system at the beginning of the year where I've got different like almost toolboxes for different things, and they're labeled. And then at some point throughout the season, they all just get mixed up and anything just goes anywhere. And then at about the midway point of my season, I might take a day and reorganize everything. But then by the end of the season, it's all back to the same. That's my job box. I've also got milk crates and with various things. I try to keep organized, but that goes out the window at some point in the season.
So you're not a job box guy.
I'm not a giant job box guy. I'm a lots of little mini job box guy.
I can accept that.
That's an acceptable response.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm good. Thank you so much.
I'm holding you to the fire tonight, Mike.
Not
letting you get away with fuck all.
I like your guys' responses. I'm more of a listener. So here's a worst hour question for you guys. And I'm not gonna say this person's name because I don't know, maybe they don't want their name shared with this. Have you ever had an employee ask your clients to lend them money?
What?
Multiple clients.
No.
Never.
Wow. Well, how would you guys handle this?
They wouldn't be my employee after that. That's fucking ridiculous. Like that's too far.
I'm trying to think now.
So
a lot of people do a lot of stupid shit. I don't know if this is new.
I've asked new workers like at the end of their first day or whatever, like, are you okay for money? Like, do you need me to pay you today's wages now? Like, are you hurting that bad? But I would not stand for any employee ever asking a client for money. That's fuck me. I can't think of something short of the client showing naked pictures or the worker showing naked pictures to the client. I can't think of anything worse.
Oh, I don't know. I can't think of an instance where that happened. I don't think that's a good look on anyone.
No. It's
I think I would probably aggressively deal with that. Now, if it's someone who's new, then you could argue that they didn't realize it was inappropriate. And if you didn't, well, just being devil's advocate, if you didn't lay out a rule when they started that this is, or it's not in your handbook.
So here's the problem for me.
It's obvious to you and me and Chad. I don't know.
I think if you're willing to ask the client for money, to borrow money, I think that opens up the person to a lot of speculation of what else they would do for money. Like, are you willing to, like, are you staking out the house? Are you scoping out what you can steal? Shit, like that seems like the same type of person would do that as ask the client for money. And that I can't have on my job site. Without a question, that can't be around our job site.
So you're saying this is a non-negotiable fired.
This is a non-negotiable. I can't believe you did that. That's a stain on my business that I can't wipe off. You
Yeah.
know, like that's a you're fired in front of the client. I'll take you home now. See you never.
See it never.
Like that's like, I can't get over that. Like
I
something
wonder.
about that burns my arse.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it either. I don't think it's good. I think that you need to. I guess you need to address it. I mean, I guess there's a lot of factors. Did the employee know the client before? Did the employee not know the client? Did the employee bring you the job? Is the client the employee's parents?
So this is multiple clients it's happened to, though.
Multiple.
Yeah, it's the question was, have you ever had somebody ask clients to lend them money? Question mark, and then after that, multiple clients. The silence.
So let's
shaking his head.
I still can't. I'm still awestruck.
What if the employee came from a broken family and you were working at both of the employees' parents' houses plus their grandparents' houses, and that's why they were asking for money, because they were family?
I appreciate you, PK, trying to play devil's advocate here, but I still can't try to wrap my head around this.
I've been a party to some really stupid shit. This seems like a new one. I don't think this has ever happened. I would hope that the employee would come ask me for money first.
Right.
I guess. I mean, then you could debate whether that's a good idea. Yeah. I don't think if it was multiple times, then I would think that employee is an offender that might need to leave.
So what's your guys' policy of employees asking you for an advance?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have a policy.
Or like, would you do it? And then how often before it became, you know what, we're not doing this again? Yeah. Would you do it in the first place anyways?
I already told you I would, I guess.
Yeah,
like to a new employee.
I think I literally asked them, do you want your... That's not advance, though. They already worked the day for you.
Yeah.
But still in advance, because it's before payday.
Before payday. Like, I'll do that to someone starting off because I don't know where they came from, right? Like, have they not been working for the last 3 weeks and now they worked their day? Like, do they really need this to get a fucking meal or something, or put gas in the car? Or like, I can understand that.
But that person has already worked those hours for you.
Correct. Yeah.
So I agree with you, Mike. It's before payday, so you could debate it being in advance.
Right.
But you are paying for already worked hours.
True.
What you're asking for right now is, would you lend someone money on hours they haven't worked yet?
Yeah, if we keep with the lending.
That's the course of that I feel like was the core of your question, was like what you're saying about an advance. Yeah. Advancing money to people who've already worked the hours is just you paying early.
True.
You're not advancing anything. They've done the work. You're paying them. We're talking about if someone comes up and says, "Hey, the client wouldn't give me $1,000. Can you give me $1,000?" What if you got to the end of the job and say the client owes you 10 grand, and the client says, "Well, I already gave 2 grand to that other person as a loan." So
I'm
now
sure
you can
that's happened before.
now you can get it off them
Yeah.
because you
No,
might be left holding the bag on that.
I'm sure that's happened before.
sure that's happened, but I'm still leaning the house for that whole 10 grand.
Oh yeah.
I am not a party to this secondary loan or something that
What if the money was collected in your name?
Yeah. What if
It-
you had a rogue employee going around collecting bill payments from all your GCs that aren't paying, but they're willing to pay one of your employees? And they
a,
collected the
G-
money.
it, a GC has a hard enough time paying me. Do you
I
think he
know,
would
I know.
actually go out and pay one of my workers?
I'm just saying,
Like,
like a residential. So a rogue employee goes around and collects things under your name, not
that's
asking your clients for a loan, but saying Chad sent them. They're here to collect some payments.
no, no. I would, if someone were to do that to me, if I were to hire someone and one of their employees came up asking for money collecting on my behalf, I'd want to check with the business owner first.
Yeah.
I would not give money to a worker. Then
So, do you think that if someone did that and then obviously you found out about it the first time and you didn't let that person go, that you have actually allowed them to continue to that behavior?
absolutely.
Do you think that asking the clients for money is an addictive behavior?
Well, if you get the results you're looking for, I'd assume it would be addictive.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
I've said that this is, I think that that would be, yeah, I don't think that person would survive. I think like, I mean, survive like not being released from their duties. Or at a bare minimum, I think they should get a suspension. It's inappropriate chatter with the client, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have to start to wonder how comfortable is this? How much time is, because for me, if you're working on a crew at someone's house and you're there for 3 weeks, let's say, and you're a crew member, you probably become familiar with the comings and goings at the house and the people who live there, and you say hi and bye. But I don't think you should, as a crew member, have a relationship where you're even comfortable broaching the topic of money. If you're the
Yeah.
foreman, you might have that relationship because the foreman obviously is going to deal more intimately with the client. So maybe the position of that person within the company matters too, but I still think I'm uncomfortable with all of it. No matter how I devil advocate around it, I'm super uncomfortable with it.
If you have a foreman that's willing to ask a client for money, you do not have a foreman anymore. If he sets the tone for the rest of the employees working underneath him and he's the one asking for money, he is not a foreman. In my opinion.
Yeah.
He does not have the ability to lead if that's the decision that he makes on the job site.
I
He
agree.
might be a great laborer, but he should not be a foreman.
Agreed. I need to limit interaction.
Okay, but if you hire only firemen, I'd assume they have enough money that they wouldn't have to ask the client
That's
to
very
borrow
true.
money.
That is very true.
Mike, what do you do if the on-site staff is asking the client to borrow money?
I've personally never done that, so I don't have anybody that I need to worry about. So
Do you butter them up with a beer first before you ask them?
do you have a beer client?
Is it? Did they ask that? Did they ask to have a beer guy for money?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Did they?
All right. Um,
What else do you got for us?
beyond the lawn, what is your goals slash prediction in your business for next year? Already talking about next year as we close down the season here for at least me in a few weeks here. Goals, predictions next year. What's your guys' outlook? Do you got any goals?
PK?
Yeah, let's always focus on me.
Yeah.
I'm a blabbermouth.
Well, I want
No,
to
it's
see if your
fine.
trajectory has aimed upwards
Oh,
after a
well,
year that you thought maybe wasn't your greatest.
so I feel like I really want to get rid of our two triaxle dump trucks and order two brand new ones that we want and order them exactly the way we want them.
The black one? You're getting rid of the black
Yeah.
International? Chrissy's
Uh,
truck.
we have good equity in them right now, and if you keep them too long, then you're going to end up with not enough equity in them. And I think that I was actually had a bunch of I had some conversations with Kelly about this about next year. I think that we consistently 5 days a week have work for two triaxle dump trucks.
Wow.
I mean, we have work for more. There's lots of days we run 5 trucks there's many days in a season we run 5 trucks. We almost always run 3 or 4, and sometimes we run 5 every day. So I think that part of our business is growing. We provide good service, but at a bare minimum, we roll 2 every day. And I really want to have 2. I guess as a personal thing, I really want to have 2 that match, minus the colors of the stickers. Minus the Christy will want pink and Darian wants green. I don't give a shit about that. I just want to have 2 brand new trucks that I ordered that are my spec, that are exactly the way I fucking want them, to do exactly what we do as a business. They're probably going to be 325,000 each by the time we get what we want, because I want them very particular. And if I'm going to order them brand new, I'm going to get exactly the trucks that I want to represent us in exactly the way I want us represented. So that's one of my goals, I guess, is to get those 2 trucks. I don't know if we'll get there, but that's something that we want to do next year. I've concluded that we don't need our S70 skid steer anymore, and we own it, we'll own it soon, and it has a lot of equity in it, and it doesn't have a lot of hours on it. And we originally bought it because I don't like stand-on skid steers, because I like to sit down because I'm fat and old. And I wanted to run it and we used to use it to do backyard. The excavator would dig, the S70 would scoop it, bring it to the front, dump it in the trailer. But in general now, we use the E20 to dig into the buggy, and then the buggy brings it to the front and dumps it, and then the S70 loads it into the bin. Because the buggy holds so much more. And it's a great system, except that realistically, our business would be better off with a second full-size skid steer. And if we take the S70 that's still worth quite a bit of money and trade it down on a full-size skid steer, we'll probably end up with a full-size skid steer for around the same payment as we pay for the S70 right now. And our business has more than proved that we can support that payment. So I think it would be smart for us to flip the S70 into a full-size skid steer, SVL 75 or the Bobcats haven't treated me wrong. And that's probably where I get the most money from my S70. So maybe another Bobcat, or I've looked at a lot of the Cat skid steers recently. I don't know. Anyways, I think that our business is better served, because if all we're doing essentially is using the S70 to load the bin out on the road after the buggy dumps, then we could do that with a full-size skid steer. But then we also have the full-size skid steer to move pallets around, whereas the S70 can't do that, right? Or load and unload, or if we need the full-size skid steer to go push piles at a dump site, or if we need it, just for our business. At one time, the S70 was a vital part of our business. I feel like we started a different system with the buggy as part of it, and we just sort of grew past it. So I also think that when we bought it, I had intentions of using it for snow a lot, because it is a great sidewalk machine. And it's an amazing machine for sidewalks, and put a plow on it and have a bucket on site. You can do a lot of different things with it, but we don't do any of that kind of work. So, and I have no intention of doing that kind of work. So I think we're going to look at pretty hard at trading in the S70 next year. I want to take at least one of our pickup trucks and get rid of it and get like a 5-ton dump truck, like a fair size with a bit longer box. Then I want to split the box because we have, a big client that we do a lot of deliveries for, and in the spring we could, if that truck could deliver 2 yards in the front and 2 yards in the back, or a half yard in the front and 2 yards in the back, and it had a split box, we could probably let it out to that client for a lot in the spring, plus use it on our own jobs. And I wouldn't mind getting a small hook. I wouldn't mind getting rid of 2 of the pickups and getting a small hook truck with some 5-yard bins, because I think that we do enough of the other bins that 5-yard bins would probably be a business we could get into. Plus, it would probably be good for our own use. So those are things we're looking into, I guess. Short list. I also like a dozer and a bigger excavator, but I don't know. It's a lot of money moving around.
You're remodeling the whole company over next year.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to change it all.
Nice, love it.
I don't know if I'm going. I want to. I think that those are practical decisions for the staff. Staff we have, and the direction we're moving, and the things we're trying to achieve. Some of the equipment we have maybe doesn't. We have a brand new dump trailer. It's a year old. I'd like to sell it off in the spring. Because for us, if we had a 5-ton dump truck and a little bin truck, we don't need. We don't need.
Yeah.
We don't need that dump trailer. We have 2 dump trailers. One of them's like 3.5 ton, and it's old, but it's, for the amount we use a dump trailer, we could probably use that. I don't know. Probably maybe sell some of our other stuff too. I don't know. Everything else we have, we really use a lot. But anyways, that's our small plans. How about you, Chad?
Oh, goodness. I thought around getting into a triaxle as well. There's a lot of work for one right now. We sort of have the money to spend. But I'm nervous. Like, that's a big chunk of money. And I got to find the right driver. Without a doubt, the work is there for now, at least. I just feel like that's a huge undertaking, especially without a driver that I can trust. I thought about flipping the 2 F550s for newer ones, but if we do that, we're out like $60K. So I'm still kicking around that idea. I would love to put a 20-ton shovel in the fleet, just to have it at the yard. I think it would be great to move shit around and push piles and all that stuff. For next year, we got probably $1.5 million to start, including a 15,000 square foot porcelain tile job, which fell right into my lap. So we're going to see how that goes. I got a fire hall to build. I have some big streets to do, a couple roundabouts. We'll know maybe by end of day tomorrow if we get a highway job. The work's there. If I can get all the guys to get along and put some of the pieces in place to where we can start a separate crew and they can function without me there, I think we'll be in good shape. Still a lot of reinstatement, topsoil and sod, my bread and butter. This has been probably our best year so far. We'll just see what we can't do to make next year even better, even if things look like they're turning down as far as the economy goes. We'll see. Doesn't seem that way for us just yet.
Mike?
Goals for next year. I haven't really thought too much about it just yet on the landscaping side of things. On the software side of things, I got a lot in the works, which is going to take up a lot of my winter here. But not a lot I can really talk about in terms of goals for that and what I'm kind of planning on working on in the winter. Landscaping, like as soon as we have a clear area that we're going to live long term, then I'll start to kind of double down more on hiring. For now, next year, I'd hope to have one guy with me next year, just based on the work that we've got lined up for the spring and then into the summer, which is already looking good. And yeah, I need to take a little bit more time to think about the landscaping side of things, essentially.
What about for this podcast? Do we have a goal for next year?
Oh, good question.
Is there anything? I mean, we put enough time into this thing every week, I guess.
We need to have a long-term sponsor for next year.
A long-term sponsor. How do sponsorships usually work? Are they usually long-term?
No. No, I don't know. It just depends on how you want to set it up.
So we're
But
looking for a
the goal for
unicorn
the end
right
of the
off
year for this podcast is to have the merch store up.
Yeah.
So next year we need to have a big goal because that's a pretty big goal to accomplish right there.
Yeah.
I noticed this week the Mulder Life podcast was sponsored by a landscaper.
Oh, I did
A
see that.
landscaper.
Yeah.
A landscaper. Yeah. So I thought that maybe the Mulder Life podcast should sponsor this podcast.
Ooh.
And maybe we've been barking up the wrong tree for sponsors, and we should be looking for other podcasts to sponsor our podcast.
Wow.
If only I had another podcast to sponsor this podcast.
If only another podcast existed, Mike, to sponsor this podcast.
Is that what you're getting at, PK?
No, it wasn't actually. But it's funny that that's true. I did put a request on Instagram today on the Not Our Finest Hour account for people to send us our begging for sponsors to other people. Other companies that they felt provided no value in the industry. So I'm hoping people will take that to heart and they will share that post with companies they think provide no value. And then that way we can talk about them and they can sponsor our no value podcast and they'll all stay in line with our brand because we want to keep our branding on point.
True.
Right? So
yeah.
Next question, Mike.
That's a good way. If you are looking to support us beyond leaving ratings and reviews, just bug your sales rep or send the Not Our Finest Hour to your favorite company and tell them to sponsor us.
If you have also encountered a company that offers no value to you, please send them our way. Belligerently, every day. I think that a great way to help us get sponsored would be to call once a week. Some companies that might call frequently, or if you do get calls once a week frequently about purchasing certain round items, you should immediately tell them that you would purchase those round items from them if they were sponsoring the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. But until they do that, why would you buy an item off them? I'm just saying. Potentially.
Why would you buy an item off of anybody that doesn't sponsor the Not Our Finest Hour podcast?
Right now, you wouldn't be able to buy anything from anyone.
Oh, all right. Question here. Do you keep your crew on all winter? If so, what do you do to keep them busy? I do not keep my crew. Well, I keep my crew on all winter. I stay pretty busy. What do you guys do?
We work around the yard, not full time by any means. But I found, especially over the last couple of years, it takes a lot to keep a landscape company running, even in the off season. A lot of greasing, cleaning, like the trucks get cleaned in December. they don't go out all winter, but by February they're dirty again. I don't know how, but they just have to be like double cleaned um, to get all the shit out of them, I guess.
You're saying a fall cleaning when everyone's tired and it gets dark at 3:30 in the afternoon is not acceptable later on.
It's not
At the
acceptable later in the
time
season.
when everyone was exhausted and tired and they were done with the season, and you say clean out the trucks and they half-ass it out, take an extended lunch, drink a double, fucking, and then really just pick up the cans off the floor. When you go to look at that truck in February, like, fuck, we really need to clean this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
need a double cleaning.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that can get done in the winter. Shop renos, we're still ongoing with that. Painting, everything gets so scratched up over the season.
Yeah.
It all has to be painted again and buffed and ready to put out again. Oil changes, fluid top ups. No matter how we go through so much goddamn windshield washer fluid. Those international trucks.
We got a barrel.
Yeah, I need that barrel.
The barrel's awesome.
Yeah.
The
With like
barrel
a
is
hand
awesome.
crank or something.
Yeah, it's got a hand pump. I should post a
Yeah.
video of it just for you. The
should.
barrel of windshield washer fluid is, and then we got one of those, you know, those jugs that you pour oil in so you can put oil in a truck.
Yeah.
It's like a big, and you get a ball, and you can't use the bulk oil thing. So we got one of those for windshield washer fluid. So you can just, it pours in nice. It's great.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do it yet, but someone did. Someone needed washer fluid.
Yeah. Yeah, all that shit takes about a good couple weeks. Like, you wouldn't believe how much time it takes to get things ready. Then by March, we're all horny to go. So we're cleaning everything again and shining it up and airing the tires, and everything's shuttled back and forth to the mechanic for safeties, and things are getting new decals, and it's just awesome. I love a mid-March takeoff whenever you're sort of getting everything ready, putting all the buckets back together. Everybody gets new tools and everything's marked out the way they like it. Okay, we're going to set up the trailer this way this year, and we're going to try this. And oh yeah, fill the jerry cans, put them back in the truck, and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's like Christmas. That. Yeah.
I love the feeling of starting the season.
Uniform, well, not uniforms, but new shirts and safety vests, and everybody gets new hats, and everybody looks like $1 million for the first week. And they're all tired from doing nothing all winter.
The job boxes are all organized.
The job boxes are all organized.
Spend all winter building a big job box.
Yeah. 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 I love it. I'm excited for next season already. So.
We move snow in the winter with the trucks and the dump and the bin trucks. So this year we have 5 of our own trucks to go out. So that's good. We have 3 bin trucks and 2 triaxles of our own to go out first, and then we have the brokers. If something comes up, we have the staff in. Like, we had a winter where they worked at the place that shall not be named for the whole winter. They did different construction projects there for the whole winter. We had another job where we worked all winter doing open graded base. So we had both those jobs where we worked for the whole winter. Last winter we didn't have a job where field staff were working for the winter. This year we might have some. We have a porcelain terrace on pedestals. So if that was ready in January to go, really there's nothing stopping you from doing that, because you're not compacting anything. You're working off foam. You're just putting the pedestals on the foam and then putting the porcelain on. So that's something we would maybe do this winter. I've done permeable pavers in the winter. You can do them if you get the main base down first, so you're not burying fucking ice. we get everything certified all winter. It's another thing we do. We don't pay anything because we don't have a heated space. Although this year we might have a heated space, so we might paint some stuff. Get trucks ready, get equipment ready. This year I want to color code all the strapping down and chaining equipment to each trailer. So that, because what happens is it keeps getting pirated out of the different trailers and moving around. So maybe if that stuff gets painted, we do have a lot of trailers and a lot of straps and a lot of shit going on. So we have 4 flat trailers, and we have 2 dump trailers. So they all have an array of straps and shit. But I think if they were color coded and everything had a place, that would be a better setup. But we've never done that. So we're probably work on that this winter. That's something I want to work on. We always have a list of things that we should be doing. So that's our plans for this winter, I guess.
We this is pretty much the end of the questions. We do have just topics, different types of brands of permeable jointing, but there's no question here. I guess more so a topic. Do you guys just stick to one, I guess?
No. Well, I'm changing it up for the next one. I remember I told you guys about that
6x13s.
Yeah, that one. So that job happens to, that's the client that we're doing the 15,000 square feet of porcelain for. So all of that 6x13 paver is coming up. We're going to palletize it, put it somewhere else. And no word of a lie, before any of that got lifted, there's a ceiling fan right above a pad of this jointing compound, and the perfect circle from the ceiling fan is missing out of the jointing compound right below it.
No way.
Yeah. And like, we can't explain it. I don't know. It's like a crop circle of missing jointing compound right beneath the fan. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's the only spot on the entire job of 2,000 square feet where there's no jointing compound.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's neat. So, we're going to try the other one, the other jointing compound.
I see.
I feel like with the nitro, no matter how nice you get it, you almost have to go around and point all your joints after, because it just doesn't look right if you leave it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you have to point it and then blow all the shit away. Or maybe I'm just not good at installing it, but we spent hours and hours and hours putting the stuff in.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I can make it nicer than the way it looks without pointing it at the end.
I find that even with the other one that
Oh yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna have to go around and hand finger it or whatever at the end. Do you have a preference over the two?
Don't. And then the Seal Tech also has their own. So there's 3 that I think are very similar.
Okay.
And then Mexro also has their own, which is a finer granule. So I kind of want to try that. Yeah, I want to try that.
So
which one?
See.
It's a company called Mexro.
Mexro?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we've used what? Oh God.
Sorry, I just tried to mix up the
I
name.
know what you're so we've used Mexro quite a few times. We found it to be a really great product. It seems to be a bit finer than some of the other ones. Then we've used both of them. They were both successful. We just felt like the the Mexro went in a bit easier, maybe because it's a bit finer.
Okay.
They both of them, the permeability is proved to be great. We put it in multiple driveways now, and it has stood up. No one's called to complain. No one said a word about it. So not actually the driveway we did in the spring, we did out of Tronite, and it's held up well because the reason we didn't use the Mexro on that one is because the Tronite actually came out and said it was driveway safe.
I
Winter.
didn't even know that.
Last winter, it came out and said it was driveway safe, and the Mexro had not made that statement. I don't know if they had now, but they had not at the time. So we were using a wide joint paver. So it went in just as nice. One of the reasons we used that stuff was because the black is so true black, and we were using a Block Teco black smooth paver. And so we wanted it to, because the guy wanted the driveway to look like asphalt. Whatever. Same.
So just black on black everything?
It was black on, well, he also had like a crazy murdered out one of those Jeeps with the 392 Hemi in it that was murdered out. So he liked to pull it onto his all black driveway so that it camouflaged his Jeep. So I liked all those products. We haven't had a bad experience with either of them. I haven't had a failure or a problem, or I do agree that it is the kind of thing where you got to go back the next day and touch it up no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think
agree.
It's hard to do a one-off install. I think that's just my feeling on it. I agree with that. I think that it's a tough, and I don't know how, no matter how many times you've installed it, how you make it better.
Would you guys buy one of those machines with the brooms, the 4 brooms on it that spin around?
Yeah, I guess.
If
Price dependent.
If it was $2,500.
Yeah. Oh, if it would speed up the process, if it would expedite the process, because I probably have 50 empty buckets at the yard, and the time to install 50 buckets is probably pushing 30 hours or so, I'd say.
You're saying an hour a bucket.
Half an hour a bucket.
Just over, yeah.
Just over half an hour a bucket.
I feel like that's fair.
Like if we could expedite that process. I mean, it's not like once you have the hose on it and you're putting it in, it doesn't take half an hour to do a pail, but the whole process, right? Like by the time you take them out of the truck and open up all the cans and then the bags inside the cans and all that shit, like it ends up being a process.
Do you think that if you're including all that time, do you think that installing a bag of sand is any faster?
Yeah,
Polysand?
I think polysand's a bit faster.
Polysand's for sure faster.
If you include
unless you're including the time waiting for it to dry.
Well, no, but I'm saying you're including
November.
Getting it
or
out of the truck,
taking to torch it, like
getting it out of the truck, drying it, installing it, sweeping it, triple compacting it, sweeping it in again, compacting it, sweeping it in again, compacting it, sweeping it in again. I mean, right now I think they're recommending like 6 times compacting and resweeping to make sure there's well, so really, if you actually go, so the process is, as to my understanding, is lay the pavers, put in the edging, do a pre-compaction.
and fuck up all your lines.
Listen, I'm going by, if you guys if I get to a point where you guys disagree with what I'm talking about here, please voice your opinion. But we're talking about what's recommended, not what you agree. Like, this is what I understand the recommended method to be now.
One of these days, we're just going to grab a bag of polysand and read the fucking instructions right on the air.
It doesn't matter what's on the bag. It's not what's on the bag is not relevant to what they're saying and how you need to install it. Those things never match. I guarantee if you read the bag, it never says anywhere, don't install under a tree where leaves fall.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to break down what I understand the process to be. Finish the patio completed. Do your pre-compaction. So you get out your roller packer, you set it up, you do your pre-compaction. How long do you think that takes? Say you're doing, let's do it for 100 square feet. Straight up, 100, because, so 100 square feet is 2 bags, right? Let's agree that 2 bags is 100 square feet.
Yep.
Okay, so we're doing 100 square feet. So you're going to the trailer, getting your roller packer, bringing it to the patio, and doing pre-compaction on 100 square feet. How many minutes is that? I'm just gonna make a little chart here. We're gonna figure it out.
By the time, are you including the rollover from the trailer to the patio?
Yeah, because you just said you were including in the half an hour per bucket of Mex Roam or Throw Night that you were including going to get the pail, bringing the pail from the trailer.
Okay.
But you started down this road, not me. Just
okay.
So how long is that gonna go get the pack? Now, mind you, you're going to use this packer multiple times. So really you're only going to get it once from the trailer and now you have it near the patio, right?
Yeah.
So how many minutes to get the packer, get it over, get it started, get it running, take it off choke, make sure it's running good, put gas in it, check the oil, and roll the patio 100 square feet. How many minutes is that?
5 minutes.
Do you think that's happening in 5 minutes?
And
Absolutely.
the compaction? And the initial compaction?
Oh, yeah. Well, 100 square feet, it's a 10 by 10.
So, but you're going to go to the trailer, get this packer, get it to where it's going, check the oil, warm it up properly.
No, we're not checking the oil.
You know that you guys check the oil in your machines?
You know the oil gets checked once a season, and that's when it doesn't start.
Maybe at NDL.
Yes, well, damn right at NDL. The only time that oil ever gets checked in a small engine is whenever it's not starting.
So I feel like your 5-minute timeline is aggressive.
It's very aggressive. I think so too.
I've told you before, we work faster than the average landscape crew.
It seems like it.
But
that's where you're making your money.
Between the trailer and rolling it over, I don't know how far your jobs are from your trailer. The whole point is to bring the trailer to the job, right? So you roll the packer out. Even if you're rolling it to the backyard.
Whatever. We'll agree. This is Chad's. We're working through this for Chad. So he says 5 minutes.
You might be able to skim off a minute if you had a job box.
It wouldn't fit in the job box. Oh. We put it in the little MT100 and we drive it over. And then we put the bucket at the edge of the patio, and then we pull the roller packer out. 5
minutes. We got it. All right. So now you're going to sweep in, let's call it 1.5 bags of sand.
Yeah. In
5 minutes?
5 or 6 minutes, yeah.
Oh, fuck no.
Really?
There's no fucking way that happens in 5 minutes.
Okay, what's the patio? Is it Blue Grande? Is it 4x8? What's the patio?
Let's just call it a common denominator patio. 3 size random.
3 size. Have they been
13 by 16?
Have they been lifted and relayed? Like, is there existing sand in
this
them?
This is brand new.
Then 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 100 square feet is not a lot of patio.
I feel like this is an aggressive timeline, but sure, 6 minutes. Okay.
I can't remember the last time I built a 100 square foot patio.
Now you're doing your first compaction go over. So you're compacting it with the roller packer, then you're doing another sweep in.
another 5 or 6 minutes.
All right, so let's go 6. So this is the sand install, pre-compaction,
So we're up
and
to
then this
15
is
minutes so far.
first compaction. Now, how many, legit, without making fun of the situation, how many of those compactions reinstalling? I say that no sand supplier is going to let you get away with less than 3, or you're creating failure because you're not getting enough compaction. You're going to have to do that at least 3 times.
We
Compact
don't do
it
3 times.
and resand it, compact it and resand it. So how many times?
We compact twice.
But we're going by the rec. So you think that if you have a failure and you tell them you only compacted it twice, they are going to 100% tell you didn't do enough compaction.
And reference this podcast episode.
And reference
I've been told.
All right, okay,
we're all just digging our graves on this podcast.
So okay, let's just say twice. So we got another 6 minutes for second compaction. Right? Now we have, and that's also sweeping it. So now how long to blow 100 square feet? 2 minutes?
Maximum.
30 seconds.
It takes 2 minutes to start our fucking still blower. So
okay, so
add that in there. 4 minutes. The electric blower starts right up.
What if you use the sand that doesn't require blowing?
You blow it off anyways, because that's the fucking stupidest bullshit fucking crap. Like, it's the fastest part of the process. Why would you get rid of that? So fucking idiotic. Anyways.
I'm just going off of, you said that they require 3 compactions minimum. I'm just going off of what they say.
Okay, fair enough. So now we got left is the watering. How long to water 100 square feet? At least 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Yeah. Well, are we talking? We're getting out the hose. We're hooking up our own hose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 10 minutes.
Easily. That's the longest step of the process.
The longest step is getting that fucking hose out.
True.
Okay. And now we're going to say that this process is completed. Unless you guys have another process that I haven't forgot about that they recommend. Which
may need to blow off the water.
Oh, yeah. You got to blow the water off. You're fucking right. I've heard that shit. Yeah. So I'll do another 4 minutes of blowing. Okay, you guys ready for the tally here on the little how long it takes to install a bag of polysand?
100 square feet.
I wish a polysand company would sponsor this podcast.
It'd be great.
This calculator's not fucking working. The fuck? Oh, here's a big one. This one will come on. No? Oh, there we go. So we got 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6.
These are small numbers. Can we just
4 plus 10 plus 4 equals 41 divided by 2. It takes 20 minutes, 20 and a half minutes, according to Chad, to install bags of polysand.
Why did you divide by 2 at the end?
2 bags of sand.
2 bags for 100 square feet.
Okay, for every bag of sand. Gotcha.
2 bags for 100 square feet, because you're not doing it with 1 bag.
Got it.
Right? And if you're doing a double compaction, you're going to go through extra.
Wait, let's back up a second here. So it
So
takes
you were
40 minutes
for every 100 square feet
to finish 100 square foot patio of sand. Do you think that's unreasonable?
Actually, that's closer than I thought, because I do 1 hour.
Step of this process. Both of you were fucking dragging me through the mud over my timeline for everything. But does it not work at the end? By the time you're done, 40 minutes to do that is a fucking fair amount.
I do 1 hour personally for mine.
For 100 square feet?
Yeah.
You allow an hour?
That's my production rate for poly.
Okay.
Just pissed.
Drag me through the mud through the whole fucking thing, and then it turns out to be right. Come on.
No, I still think that it was an aggressive timeline. But when you add it all up, I agree with you that it could. Now, you only did 2 compactions, and any sand manufacturer is going to tell you that's fucking crazy shit you're talking there. Like, to not do 4 or 5 compactions. Do you guys, I know we've talked about this so many times, but it just always boggled my mind when there was the who could compact their sand the most competition on Instagram. And there'd be these fucking guys. Oh, it's just a couple guys would be like, yeah, we're on our 17th compaction here because we're doing it right. And if you're not doing it like us, you're a fucking loser, man. I was like, you're such a fucking knob. You're 17 fucking compactions. Whatever. Anyways, so 20.5, and you're saying you had 50 buckets. You had 50.
I'd say at least half an hour a bucket, right?
What's your production rate for that sand, Mike?
Oh, I don't even know that off the top of my head, but it's at least an hour and a half per 100 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's Chad's saying it's 10 minutes longer per 100 square feet to do the sand, the wash-in sand. Or, well, it's not sand, it's jointing compound. Right?
That's true.
No, I'm saying it's 33% longer, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
which sounds right.
Well,
Yes, that's right.
essentially, you said it was half an hour for the other one and 20 minutes for this. So,
Yeah,
33% longer.
33% longer.
You should market cornflakes. This box is 33% bigger.
That they do. That's how they market that stuff.
It is, yeah. So
Yeah.
you're saying at 33% is this brought value. Doing a breakdown of this brought way too much fucking value. I'm kind of disappointed. Can someone send this episode to a polysand company so we can get them to sponsor us?
Please.
Because obviously we've been nothing but complimentary to the product for the last half an hour.
Or the last podcast
So here's the thing.
lifespan.
Well-
Our very first episode, we broke that seal.
So just here's an interesting thing about this. So it's 20 minutes to half an hour. I'm not disagreeing with Chad. I think that he proved us wrong and proved himself right. He stuck through the process. He wrote it out. He proved himself right. But here's the real, in the time that we've been installing the knock on wood jointing compound that you wash in, we've had 0 callbacks. In the time that we've been installing polysand, now we were talking about how many times has someone called you about a failure of the base material earlier in this episode? And we both, all three of us were like, yeah, I don't remember anyone ever calling me about a failure. How many times have people called you to complain about sand issue? I would say it's 100% my most frequent complaint, to the point where everyone who works for us, myself included, has a lot of anxiety over installing sand. Because it's just gotten to the point where it doesn't matter what you do with it, you did something wrong and it's your fucking fault. And so if you factor in the amount of time I have to fix stupid sand shit, I would guess that it's probably more than 30 minutes a bag for the season, because you got to go back and fix all. Although we haven't had any problems this year, so knock on wood. We also haven't done any residential installs. By ceasing to install the product, we stopped having problems with it. Shockingly, we still got one or two sand complaints from last year.
Oof.
You're saying how many minutes? So you've obviously had a problem with. You've had one, Chad,
with what?
a complaint about the jointing compound.
Yeah.
I've had 0. What about you, Mike?
I've had 0.
How many jobs have you done?
With it? Oh, more than 10 off the top of my head.
Yeah. So we've done, I'd say we've done at least 10. We've had no complaints. How many have you done, Chad?
3 or 4. Well, maybe 4 or 5. But it was just that crop circle under the fan that's been the real issue. Everything else is pretty great. It can even, not that it's happened to us, but if you're shitty at grading, the resin compound can solve that problem, right? Just really though, it can.
You don't have to worry about
If-
the pooling.
You're puddling. If you're
Hoping
really
not to-
shitty, like if you're starting out, maybe the resin sand is your saving grace, if you don't know how to grade a base out right yet or
Yeah.
something. You could be a dog shit landscaper and cut wedges and stuff, and as long as you're installing resin, no one's gonna know.
I think that your point on the resin there is really good, because I do agree with you that whenever you do a large patio, 300, 400 square feet, even if you have a textured paver and you end up with 3 or 4 of them turned the wrong ways, so that all the water goes there and then it doesn't flow out of there as fast just because of the texture on the paver. Nothing to do with your grade. Not saying it's not flowing.
Yeah.
It's literally just the texture of the paver. Having that resin in there is really a lifesaver if the client
Yeah.
comes out, all the water's going away, and
They're just watching the puddle, and it's slowly moving, like not fast enough on on resin or on poly sand.
yes.
They just watch the puddle. Like you want to put a little paper boat there and just watch it flow. It's not,
So
not going fast enough for them.
So for me, I like the resin for that 100%.
Yeah.
So anyways, is that 2 hours, Mike?
We're more than 2 hours.
More than 2 hours.
All right. Well, that's the end of the episode. See you the fuck later.